Welcome to Jump Shots from the Goal Line. I am your host, Jonathan Dugan. I'm joined, as always, by John Henningsen. We are in your eardrums. This is the number one sports podcast in the entire world. Don't let anybody tell you different. Our revenue share is insane. ESPN and CBS and everybody's barking down our door. But don't worry, we're going to stay independent because that's just who we are. Right, John?
Yeah, we're not going to let those people control our say. You know, when we have this kind of influence, there's no way we'd give that up.
No way, dude. I could never partner with anybody like Skip Bayless. Hell no. Well, hey, it's been a pretty cool sports weekend. We obviously had the World Cup come to a close. We had an ownership change. We had insane NFL games. Lots and lots and lots of stuff has been going on. The college football landscape is insane. But I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention, obviously, Christmas is coming up this weekend. Hanukkah is going on right now. I know this is my wife's favorite time of the year, and Lord knows it's your fiance's favorite time of the year, honey. What do you got going on for Christmas, my man?
Yeah, we'll do some family stuff. Actually, the girl's getting away a little bit to visit her family, so we're going to do some stuff together, but then kind of be apart for a little bit.
So golf.
So then opportunity knocks. Then you have to answer that door and get the sticks out. So I will absolutely be doing that. It's pretty funny. That's kind of exactly how it played out in my mind. I'm like, oh, I mean, if you had to go, I'm trying to think of what I would do.
Courses should be open.
Golf incessantly. Yeah, no, courses will be open. I won't golf on Christmas Day. I'll be with family and stuff. But
Christmas Eve is wide open, though.
But there's time around it. I can definitely make time. We can definitely get some golf in. I have not been playing well, but I've been playing a little less over the winter
cold.
Too. But
your joints are
it's like there. The cold. I'm old, and I don't move the same. I've been trying to get my body involved, and it doesn't want to follow. Probably should do something to round out of shape or into shape, depending on how you want to look at it. At some point, that could be affecting me. I think I'm carrying winter weight.
It's all those stouts.
Yeah, you start drinking dark beers, they taste a little better. You just eat heavy stuff and it seems fine because you're wearing a sweater, and then eventually, but you're in Arizona, so you do have to put on a t-shirt once in a while and you're like, oh, it's not good. Let's just pretend it's cold outside.
Dude, the whole eating heavier thing is such a real freaking thing, dude. Like, I feel like recently I've been eating so out of control. Like, good Lord, I can't contain myself. Like, even tonight, like, it was supposed to be a light night, and we had some leftover carne asada. I made a homemade pizza, threw the carne asada on there, made a little taco pizza action. It was delicious, but immediately after eating it, I was like, dude, what am I doing with my life? Like, good God.
I mean, there's definitely two sides of that coin because, like, a taco pizza made with that kind of love sounds excellent. However, I know exactly what you're talking about because that's what I keep doing is I'm like, hey, that was like a wonderful thing you made. But like, you didn't have to eat it all today. Like you didn't have to throw that extra thing of cheese into it or do this or like you'd already taken it up a couple levels. There's no reason to take it all the way to Flavor Town. But,
yeah,
you got to do what you got to do, man. And I know you're working in that kitchen. I know you make some good stuff. So
thanks, man.
I mean, what are you going to do?
And then I was supposed to go to the gym tonight, but wifey she came home from Walmart with a bottle of rum chata and a bottle of eggnog and was like, hey, you want to drink some of this tonight? And I'm like, well, there goes the gym, can't turn that down.
I think I'm one serving short of my dairy for the day. Let me take a look at gander at that food pyramid again real quick.
I'm pretty sure dairy's up there.
Looks like I'm a couple short. Go ahead and pour me a couple.
Yeah, dude. And I'm still a growing boy and I need my calcium. So I said, yeah, let's do it, babe. And here we are, just a few slices of pizza deep with some eggnog. So yeah, dude, eating heavy is definitely been on the agenda for your boy for sure. But hey, you know what? 'Tis the season and we have 6 months after the fact. I don't think there's really any holidays coming up that require a lot of food. So we have time, bro. We have time to shed some LBs. Maybe we do the keto stuff that you and I have tried countless times in the past, and we put our best selves forward come June and July.
I'm gonna have to, man. I'm telling you, it's getting bad over here. Like you people probably can't tell on the I don't. My voice might actually sound fat. It's like completely possible, but
What is that reverberating? Is that fat?
yeah, exactly. I'm like, his voice has got a little roll to it that I don't quite remember. Yeah, not ashamed to admit it. It's getting bad over here, but I will pull it together. I will pull it together. You know, new year, new me, 2023, that whole deal.
Dude, I got to the 30s too, and I just feel like shit like stays with you longer. You know, you don't shake this weight as easy as we used to. So it doesn't help. I also have a 3-year-old. So
I was gonna say, I'm like, dude, I'm like, I'm not here to tell you it gets any better at 38 going on 39. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's all about life choices and portioning, and I'm sure I'll figure it out one day. It just doesn't happen to be today, but that's okay. You know, we'll figure it out. We're just enjoying life. We only get one life, right? So live it how you want to live it. So yeah,
we're doing that.
Yeah, we sure should, our pal. Well, anyway, like I mentioned before, the World Cup came to a close. The action in Qatar has ceased. We don't have to talk about that whole shenanigan fest. But what a game, man. Did you watch the championship?
Absolutely. Like, what a great appetizer. Speaking of food, what a great appetizer. Yeah, no, I was probably like eating pie as I was watching the game. I don't remember what I was doing, but I'm sure it was something stupid. But no, it was great. Like, what a great like television appetizer for like your Sunday football, right? Like, normally, like that was way better than a London game. Like, honestly, if I could get, if I could watch a hockey final, a World Cup final, I don't even care, name the sport. If I could have like a 2-hour, 3-hour dramatic final before NFL Sunday, just as like a little, an aperitif, a little something different, that'd be great. So yeah, I thought the game was absolutely, incredible. I thought, I don't know, I found it interesting. Like, I mean, there's a lot of penalty kicks, like, and even though that's fun, and obviously it ended in kicks, but I mean, I'm talking about you had 3 penalty kicks during like game action. That feels like a lot. I don't know if all of those are. I don't know if you had like an opinion on any of those, but outside of that, man, you just have 2 absolute studs, right? And Mbappe and Messi going back and forth and scoring goals, and like there was live action and drama and big saves and misses and it's all of it. So the game was just freaking awesome and had all the drama you could ask for, and a great ending with Messi being crowned king.
Yeah, dude. I know I've heard it on numerous other podcasts, but it's just crazy, man. It's like everything everybody asked for. I mean, you don't even have to be a soccer fan to notice just how great of a game that was. You had 2 superstars. You have, the greatest of all time in Messi, going up against a potential GOAT in the future in Mbappe. And Mbappe certainly showed that, right? Having a hat trick. He was incredible. I mean, those 2 goals within 2 minutes was nuts for France. And Messi was just magical as always. So, it truly did come down to the 2 best teams. I mean, if you are a gambling man, that definitely those were the 2 teams that were favored like the entire tournament besides Brazil. And you couldn't have asked for a better cup, man. I mean, anytime you get, free anything with sports, they went into overtime. That was awesome. Both teams scored. And then going to PKs, I know Ben kind of clowned the whole PK thing with soccer, but man, like the drama, it had you on the edge of your seat for sure, man. And to see Messi finally get his World Cup after so many years, just adding to his trophy case, cementing his legacy, it was cool, man. And, that's coming from somebody where I really do like the sport and I got into it late in life. But even somebody like yourself that just catches it every 4 years, I'm sure you were like, damn, this is cool as hell.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so I don't have like a lot of frame of reference. So I know some people are saying like that it was the greatest one ever. And, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I really don't have enough frame of reference to scale that sort of thing. Yeah. But you had, like you said, you just had like pure star power. It was 2-0 and felt like it was in control. Then it was like boom, boom, and it was just like 2 shots and like just like that. Argentina was stunned and it was right back in it. And I was like, whoa, that was like that happened fast. Like,
yeah, you went to go take a piss, dude. You were
you could have easily missed it. Like, yeah, because I mean that just thing flew, and then And then, like you said, you mentioned you get the 2 goals in overtime. Then you get, it's really cool to see, Messi in those PKs. Like, he just cheeky, real nice. He just kind of like felt like he has the goalie in his head and just, no, I'll just tap it in here. Love when those guys just go right up the middle. Like, that's always like entertaining to me. I'm like, just dove away from it. Like, that always looks great. And then you got this sociopath goalie from Argentina. Dude, acting like a complete psychopath. And I was
what an incredible person. Yeah, I was there for it.
I was like, how do I not know about this guy? This guy's incredible. I was like, this guy should have been the star of the show the entire time. And I also saw people that were turned off by it, and understandably so. I don't even know these people.
You say that. Man, yeah. You say that you understand why they'd be turned off. I'm like, dude, why? Like, you guys complain all the time that soccer's so boring. Oh my God. You have an absolute nutcase, but like in between the sticks, freaking taunting the players during PKs, throwing the ball out to the side, which I do that every time I play like 21 with somebody, right? So like, and then he wins and he freaking pelvic thrusts with the trophy. Like, dude, I am here for it. Like, you can't say that soccer's boring after watching that dude for 120 minutes.
I thought he was like crazy and fun, but then when I saw him do the hip thrust with it, then I was like, all right, now like I'm fully in on this guy. Like, and then I don't know who it was, but like one of the Qatari officials, presumably, like that's my best guess. Like with that picture of him like looking at him, just like, what is going on? Like, as he's doing it, and he's got like literally a face of, I will say, exhilaration on his face. Like, everything about it is so preposterous that I loved it. But I did see people. I mean, I don't know. I guess some people that just don't like flashy stuff. Period. And if that's what they're always like, then fine. Like,
those are the same people that have a problem with Caleb Williams, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. So like, I guess you're probably right. And if
it's
they're
just the whole state of Georgia,
then bless your heart. But
and then the madness after the fact, seeing Salt Bay get absolutely wrecked by Messi, like that was incredible too. Like, dude, it was all around like just an incredible sporting event. Like, anybody, like if Ben Crownover would have watched that game, he probably would have been like, this is actually pretty dope.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I was actually like super worried, and it was pretty slow for a start of Sunday, but I was really worried. I was like, that was kind of like that adrenaline pump that's going to make the rest of this Sunday like really hard to like manage through. Like sometimes something just completely outshines the entire rest of the day. Yeah. You're kind of like watching the football and you're like, what am I even doing? But thankfully we did have some fireworks there too. But yeah, man, I think soccer delivered all the way through. I mean, the tournament itself, like, I'm not sure what I'm going to remember about Qatar other than like this game.
The stuff leading up to it, probably.
Yeah, and then like just kind of the weirdness around it. Like otherwise, like the vibes were just kind of weird, and like, or then you have like, then I got everybody sending me, the girl, the Argentinian woman who took her shirt off, so I had to bonk every one of my horny friends.
That's me.
Just like, well, it wasn't just you. I got it from like 10 dudes. So like, apparently, I think every guy in America like clicked the link, like, oh, but like. It's just like anything else. You're like, oh, I don't know. I won't be satisfied till I see them all. But you just got to look. But I just thought that was fun. But like that, then you're like going like, I hope that girl's okay in Qatar, right? Like she's gonna be fine. So it was a weird.
Dude, I didn't even think about that. Did she make it out of the stadium? Like, what the hell?
So like a weird setting. Like that was the thing too. I was like, oh, that's cool. But I'm like, am I gonna see a story in like 3 weeks from the Washington Post? Like, woman who exposed herself found dead. Like, I don't know. Like, but Jesus. I hope not. But that was like, you kind of forgot for a little while that was kind of the weird scene of it. So like, that's why the game was so good. So great job by the players basically, and could care less about anything else that was put on by FIFA or the rest.
Dude, it did get me excited for the World Cup in 4 years, because it's going to be stateside. You know how it's the I don't know, the 3 countries sharing it, Canada, Mexico, and the US. The majority of the games are in the US, but that's going to be super sick. I definitely want to try to go to one of those games. Wifey has already told me that she'd be down to do that. So I'm sure I'll make my way up to either Vegas or LA, or who knows, maybe it'll just turn into a trip, but that'll be super fun. The US should be really good by then. And dude, I mean, I don't know if you watched any of the videos. I know Barstool did a big thing with like the Wonton Don and PFT, where they went over there and showed the fan experience. it looked dope. And, this was one of the worst fan experiences you could have without beer and stuff. So I can only imagine when it comes stateside and just you have, Budweiser pouring every ounce of freaking liquid gold they can at every single venue. I mean, that'll be a party and a half.
Yeah, can we just do one of the games at LSU?
Can you imagine if they had a freaking World Cup game at Death Valley?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, let's just bring like, because I would definitely like to see one in the South, like, but not like one of the stupid Atlanta stadiums. Like,
that's the only one I think they have.
Yeah, it probably would be what it would be, but like, I would love to see it in like a real outdoor college football vibes atmosphere. Like, I would love to see World Cup meets the South, basically, in a giant tailgate. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see people eating fried gator and then rolling into the stadium. So
I want college game day at a World Cup.
Yeah, exactly. And I want Lee Corso to put a bald eagle on his head before the game, and then like everybody just go ape shit. Like, that's what would be like. Please, I know. Can you imagine?
Happen, can you imagine what Lee Corso is going to be doing in 4 years if he's still with us? God, they were already pumping him full of Vicodin and everything else to just get him through college game day.
No, he's hanging in there, man. Just I support my man Lee. Whatever he can do, he's a treasure. And honestly, I will say this: like, probably the second I know they're trying to pump life into it with McAfee, but probably when Corso goes, I go on that show. Like, I'm not so sure. I just live for that moment. I just think that moment is like the stupidest, funniest thing that there is. Signs are still great. I like some of the other talk pregame, but like, I know that Fox pregame is probably supposed to be pretty solid too, but I'm just kind of like addicted to that moment.
Well, yeah, dude, he's been doing it for a billion years, and it's always hilarious. So, God, if they can make that happen for the World Cup, man, I'll lose it. I think most of the games, I know there's one in LA, there's one in Seattle, which that'll be really cool, right? Because that stadium is so loud, just because of the acoustics. Cool. There's one at like Cowboy Stadium. There's one Vegas, which that would be pretty cool because you can go make a whole trip out of it. I know that's right up our alley. Kansas City will have one. That'll be cool. Columbus, because that's like the soccer capital of the U.S. New York. They're all over the place, dude. And I know they're going to have one in Toronto, which, my affinity for Toronto. So yeah, dude, it's going to be a pretty dope World Cup in 4 years. Hopefully this podcast is still kicking and we can cover a little bit of it. So that'd be pretty dope. But yeah, man, overall, what an incredible experience. I'm glad you got to enjoy it, because I know going into it, you were kind of like, well, let's see what happens. And you know what? Like, you watched a lot of the games, dude. So that just goes to show, it can pull in any kind of fan. So really, really, really cool event. Way to go, FIFA, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I just give credit to the player. Like, go play it, because I can't bring myself to go FIFA.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, because they ruin everything, and I can't bring myself to go like, hey, good job, Qatar, because
I know. I know. That's what. Yeah,
an event built on the back of slave labor. It's a tough look. So
I know, Jesus, I know.
But you're right. Way more lenient than I thought they'd be. Right, with like Miss Croatia, that Brazilian chick showing what she had to offer, and I know for a fact that PFT and Wonton Don were doing acid at one game. So, hey, you know what? More power to them. People had fun and didn't get in trouble with the law, from what I can tell. So, pretty dope. Well, outside of the World Cup, some huge news dropped today. Obviously, the Phoenix Suns have been going through this whole owner thing for a while. Sarver is just one of the worst owners in sports. Just a constant like circus with his operation, whether it's, goats shitting in offices, or it's racist remarks, or it's misogyny, or, you name it, it happened. And so they've been put up for sale since like a little bit before the beginning of the season. There's been so many rumors of who would come on board to be the next owner. I mean, you had like Bezos, you had freaking like the worst of people, the best of people. I mean, it's been all over the spectrum. And we finally got an answer that today, the Suns have a new owner. What did you think of the new owner, Mat Ishbia?
Well, I don't think we know much about him yet, or at least I certainly don't. you sent me the message, and right away I was like, all right, what's wrong with him?
Yeah,
What's the turn on this guy? Like, what's,
we're so jaded.
yeah, like I'm like, how's this guy going to mess up my life? I know how this goes, like between Spanos and Sarver and basically every owner that I've had in my sports world, like someone's out to get me. So I don't know much yet, but what I have heard, I mean, seemingly is all well and good. He does have a sports background as a walk-on at Michigan State, tied to a mortgage company. I guess it's like a mortgage company that's competitive with Dan Gilbert there in Cleveland, where I guess Dan Gilbert's kind of a Michigan guy, but owns Cleveland Cavaliers. So a couple Michigan mortgage men. Say that 5 times fast. But so I'm interested, and it sounds like he actually has some money and some support. I guess he was also looking at the Commanders and was, I guess, at least passively interested in exploring that. So that gives me more optimism, just thinking that maybe there is more money, or he has access to more money if needed, to find partners. So that part was interesting to me. But, beyond that, like it's hard to say. I guess the jury will be out, but I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it has to be better than Sarver, and he is a basketball guy, having played basketball. Like, he was a Division I basketball player. So I think the initial indicators are pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's a huge, lover of the game. Loves freaking. Who's the coach of Michigan State?
He's an Izzo guy for sure.
Oh, he's an Izzo disciple. Yeah.
Every clip is like, well, what Tom Izzo would do. And let me explain about what Tom Izzo would say. And there are worse things to be, because Tom Izzo is a gritty, good coach.
Yeah. I watched one of his, they went in and, took video of his corporate stuff going on, and their morning huddles and things like that. All the same crap that you and I deal with at ADP, right? And they're doing the breakdown like they do at Michigan State, and he has a guy interviewing him, and he goes, "You know where that's from?" And the guy's like, "Where?" He's like, "Tom Izzo." And he's just such a disciple, and as corny as it's cool, right? His whole life revolves around the game. And it helps he's a billionaire, because I know Sarver was not a billionaire. He was a millionaire. And that was what drove a lot of the poor decisions when it came to team building and the ineffectiveness to keep guys on the team. So, I was talking to a few of, our mutual friends at our work about it. And, if he can kind of emulate the same model that they have in Golden State or Miami, or, these teams are owned by billionaires that don't mind going into the luxury tax. This team, all of a sudden, the doom and gloom that you and I talk about dude, what the hell is this team going to do? Well, maybe they do keep all the guys going to luxury tax and still splurge a little bit. And at the end of the day too, right? I think this guy loves the game enough that he knows he shouldn't meddle too much into it. With decisions, or it could go the complete opposite way, and he thinks he's smarter than what he really is, and he can meddle a lot. So we'll see, dude. It's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people were excited about it. I think that just simply stems from the fact that it's not Robert Sarver. But I'm just happy that it's over. I'm happy that we're going to have an owner, and I know you and I both did a little bit of digging just to find any kind of ounce of all right, this guy's got to suck somehow, and I couldn't find it. Everybody speaks glowingly of the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't find anything bad. I would say a couple things, I guess, that are maybe more interesting than the man's name himself, at least as we know a little about him. One, it does bring the season back into play, right? Part of our discussion a week or two ago, whenever we ultimately just went down our sons, burn it all down. This is hell. I knew it. What did we sign up for? Yeah. But part of that was baked into it. We thought we were just possibly going to be hamstrung or not have an owner that's going to make a decision. So I think that does bring the season back into play. Now, that doesn't mean they can save it with a trade, or it doesn't mean that, all those things that we said aren't completely untrue, because I still think it's a roster that needs a lot of work, and as is, just isn't going to cut it. But it does mean that we could be open for business, right? And because he can actually have a say in the conversation, whether he wants to spend or not spend, kind of the things that you just touched upon. The one thing I have my guard up against, though, now is, and that kind of does scare me, because, again, as we kind of talked about, I still do like our core, right? I like the D-Book, McHale, Ayton, And not to say that you couldn't part with any of those guys for that magic deal or what have you, but there is definitely like this thing that happens in the NBA pretty consistently, and probably in all sports, but like I see it in the NBA most often, where the new owner takes over and they just do the craziest stuff, right? They just want to spend that money at first, and they like don't care what it costs because they want to be splashy and they want to be the coolest guy at the party, at NBA party.
Team.
Yeah. So like, right. Like, hey, like, boom, watch what I can do. And so with that, I'm just very wary of like, let's not do anything unconscionable. Like, let's not, blow up everything in the core to like try to do this splashy thing. So that's kind of the one thing that makes me nervous, just because I've seen it so much in the past, whether it be during this season at the deadline or the following off season. Like, do we get crazy? And, I don't know, maybe he can be the first guy to make it work as a brand new owner and land the right move. But I don't know, more excited to have a guy who's excited about it than to have a guy who is pinching his pennies and treating everyone terribly.
Yeah, dude. And, the nature of his business is, I don't want to say it's recession proof, right? Because he's dealing with homes. But for the most part, I feel like mortgage companies are always doing pretty well, right? Like, I think real estate is what kind of drives every millionaire or billionaire in this country. And if he's running a multi-billion-dollar company that deals with mortgages, I mean, hey, that's better than just, working at your dad's bank like good old Bobby Sarver, right? So at least this guy has a pretty bona fide business model and all that stuff. So what I'm hoping to is just, how long did it take us, dude, to like even invest into the team, right? With Robert Sarver, it was like big news in the Valley that he built a practice facility after being there for like 15 years. So I'm hoping this guy, since he's played ball, he's, intimately involved with ball his entire life. Like he's going to see, that he needs to come in, and maybe it's not personnel he needs to change up, but maybe it's just that stuff with the team, right? Like continue to add on to practice facilities, continue to upgrade the arena, or even move the arena somewhere else in Phoenix and get a bigger arena or something like that. Keeping the Suns in Phoenix, that'll be a big topic of discussion. Luckily he's from Michigan and they're the Pistons, so that's cool. But I hope where his money comes in handy is in those aspects of it, right? And then keeping coaches, because that was like a big thing too. Remember, like with Sarver, he didn't want to pay D'Antoni, so D'Antoni left. So it's more so that's where I'm more excited. And then you hit the nail right on the head when it comes to just the ability now to make moves, because who's signing the checks.
Absolutely, and I think you hit you were just spot on some of the other things I heard today was, trying to listen to some local stuff, like just trying to, hear what I could in passing. And most of it was brief. And again, really no one had a lot more information than what we did. But some of their first complaints were just like, yeah, man, if we could get like a working fridge where the media hangs out so I can keep a drink in there, that'd be great. So like that's how petty and how stupid Robert Sarver was. So the bar is so low. We've clearly, in my opinion, by just merely finding anyone else in the world, have taken a step up. The question will just be like, how much of a step up?
Yeah, dude. I mean, at the end of the day, right, we had one of the worst owners in sports. I think the only one that was worse was like Daniel Snyder, and good Lord, man, way to set the bar, Mr. Snyder. But we've been dealing with that for, shoot, dude, 20 years? So since Colangelo sold the team. So, hey, really, you can only go up from here unless you're just a total like sociopath that wants to burn it all down, which why would you spend $4 billion if you're not going to do anything with this team? So, yeah, dude, all good things. It's exciting. The NBA overall has been exciting. I know we kind of hit on it once a week, but man, it's competitive this year, and both conferences are looking good. The Suns are second in the West. That could change tonight. They're losing to the Wizards as we speak. But dude, like all the teams that have looked kind of dangerous or could be dangerous are kind of running the West right now, right? Like the Grizzlies are in first. They look incredible. Ja is getting his own shoe. He looks nasty. The Pelicans are good. The Jazz have kind of come back down to earth, but they're still a dangerous team. And the Nuggets are incredible. But then you also have the drama of, dude, like the Mavericks have a losing record. Like, all this talk about Luka. Well, dude, his team sucks. The Lakers are garbage. The Clippers aren't doing anything. So there's a lot of drama so far, especially in the Western Conference. In the Eastern Conference, you have the Celtics, they're balling out of control. The Nets are back on pace. The Raptors they're talking about blowing them up. So the NBA, man, like it's constant drama. It's a fun follow any time of the year.
Yeah, and I'll say just a couple more just a couple more notes. Like one, Mat Ishbia. I don't think we even mentioned his name ever. I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right, but he is the guy who's. And then I would say the tough part I was going to say for him today was, and I guess this is just like something to note, Dugan, if you're ever taking over a position of someone who is misogynistic and use terrible language, just make a note that your headline might have words that shouldn't be associated with your face on it. So I thought that was really tough to see. Like, there's a couple of times where I was like searching him, and then like would find like, and the headline basically reads like replaces the guy who says, and then like pick your expletive that's completely inappropriate. And then they have his face, and I'm like, God, that's like rough. Like I understand
tough look.
Yeah. Like I'm like that could be really confusing to the wrong person. So I'm like, that's brutal. But I think to your point about like where we're at with the NBA, like. Zach LaVine's the first guy, and I don't think anybody's super excited in the league about Zach LaVine, but it's always just a matter of time before one of these stars starts rumbling, right? And what does that churn in the rest of the league? Does a LaVine move open up something for someone else? Does that create the next piece of drama? What's the domino? It had seemingly looked like it was going to be a really quiet trade deadline, and it may still ultimately be, but you just never know in the NBA. Like, it's always churning.
Yeah, dude, that whole thing with him was really, really strange about him taking umbrage with the fact that his teammates were trying to call him out about the whole, like, you need to notice when you need help or whatever, that whole thing. And now that there's drama with that team, and they already weren't playing well, right? They were underachieving by a lot. So, yeah, dude, like you said, it usually takes one domino, and then, the chips fall where they may. So, hopefully it's an active trade deadline. I was talking to a few of our buddies at work today, and I drummed up a pretty good little trade built around Pascal Siakam coming to the Suns, and that got me all hot and bothered and excited for the trade deadline. So the next 2 months are going to be exciting.
Hey, guys are going to move. Like I'm so used to it now. Like I'm just dialed into it that we're every 8 to 9 months, right? Like something in the NBA big is going to happen. Like we cannot get through a trade deadline and a summer because it was pretty quiet summer, right? Like it was maybe Kevin Durant, which made a lot of noise, but nothing happened. And then it's been pretty quiet since. So it's just hard for me to believe that there won't be something bigger. I do think Zach LaVine is, again, I don't think that really moves the needle, but he is like a max guy that moves the money, which changes the game and changes the dynamic. And at some point, somebody's going to start making this run for Wembanyama. Like, I know we've been talking about it, and everybody's like chilling on it right now. But like, I keep watching those highlights, and I know I'd be thinking about blowing up my team if it was anywhere close to having that possibility. Like, why not? The guy looks like, I mean, that is a ridiculous prospect, period. Yeah. I mean, sickening.
He looks like he's going to be one of the best prospects to come out in like the last like 15 to 20 years, right? Like his potential is like what we all thought Porzingis was going to be without, the brittleness or whatever. So if you're a team that's looking like you're towards the bottom of the pecking order, a team like, I don't know, even the Lakers, they could, well, they don't even have their first round pick. So they're probably,
wouldn't you love for that Lakers pick to convey into Wembanyama?
To the frickin' Pelicans? Can you imagine him?
No, that's the thing. God. It would literally ruin the league. That would ruin the league.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. But a team like the Rockets that has a couple of guys that maybe you want to poach, or I already mentioned the Raptors. You've mentioned the Bulls, and some of these other teams, even like Detroit. They seemingly kind of went, I don't want to say all in this summer, but they did make a few trades, thinking they were going to contend, like Bojan Bogdanovic and a few other guys, and as soon as Cade Cunningham went down, they're last in the Eastern Conference. They're not going to get any better.
Bogdanovic should be on the move. Like, I can't imagine that they wouldn't field offers on him. Like, they're in a perfect position to tank now, as you mentioned. So, yeah, the wheels are in motion. We can start cooking up the weird trades here again real soon. Like, we're almost, conspiracy guys are going to be coming back real soon. Don't worry. We're going to get NBA weird, and we'll start telling you who the Suns should trade for. And we'll throw in some other teams, too, to make sure we don't leave anybody out for the big ones. But yeah, I think the moves are going to start things are starting to cook. Pascal Siakam's an interesting one too, Dugan. You're right.
Yeah, dude. I mean, dude, he can be infuriating to watch sometimes because he does kind of force his shot a lot. But I mean, on that Raptors team, you kind of have to. If you are Mat Ishbia and you want to come in and make your move like you're referencing, that would not be a bad first trade to do it. Let me ask you though, because I was having this discussion at work. Would you part ways? You obviously have to include Cam Johnson in a deal like that, right?
Yeah.
Jay Crowder, Dario Saric. The guy makes $35 million a year, right? So there's, what is that, like $25 million. Would you be opposed if I told you after the fact you could maybe you make it a three-way trade and you get Bojan Bogdanovic? Would you feel comfortable trading Mikal Bridges for somebody like Siakam?
I mean, your random like fly will throw away of Bogdanovic coming back changes it a bit. I think it's tough moving Mikal for Siakam with all those other pieces.
Yeah.
It'd be tough to lose both twins, right? Cam and Mikal for Siakam, I think, is pretty tough. But I mean, I do really like Siakam. I mean, he's a really nice player.
So Siakam has 2 years on his deal.
Okay, what do you think about the fit with him and Ayton, though? Like, I guess, I mean, you can go through the math. Sorry.
So Siakam can kind of spread it out to three. I think he shoots, a few threes a game. Raptors fans, don't flame me if I'm wrong, but from what I've watched of him, and I have watched, a lot of playoff series and stuff of the Raptors, he's very mobile. He can attack. He's very much kind of like Jeremy Grant. So, I mean, all the Jeremy Grant rumors that were flying over the summer to the Suns.
Yeah.
He's a better version of that. And I guess my question to you, right, is does Mikal Bridges, is his ceiling as high as where Siakam is now?
Man, I think no.
Right.
Like, I don't think his ceiling is. So like, that's why, like, for him, it's harder with the thing is, like, it would be hard to lose another wing just because I think what's left over. But like,
isn't wing, like, aren't wings probably the most replaceable besides center, the most replaceable position on the floor?
I think it's both yes and no. And I'll tell you, like, yes, in terms of like that pure 3-and-D, I do think Mikal moves into the area where it gets much, much tougher to replace. And then I think you get to elite wing, and then I think that's still what you want, right? There's only one Jason Tatum,
right.
There's one, there's only a few of those guys. So it is really tough. And I guess the bigger question to me would be like, and I don't know this much about Siakam either, is like, does Siakam get to the free throw line a ton? Because I mean, like, what drives me nuts about the Suns, like, if you're just really talking about it, is that we don't really shoot a ton of threes and we don't get to the free throw line, right? And so it's like we have one option to score, and like once they kind of take away that mid-range kind of game, we're not getting to the free throw line enough, and we're not chucking enough threes to play that, what if we get hot scenario that a lot of teams can play. So that's my only problem, is I don't know if it like fixes everything with Siakam to where I'd be willing to break it all up.
Well, what I like about Siakam is that he can create his own shot, right? We've seen that in Toronto. The guy can dribble and attack the basket, which is something that we're definitely missing this season. Because if Booker's not just in fuego, there's nobody out there that's attacking the basket, right? Because the most of Mikal's points come off that little mid-range attack, shoot the mid-range over your guy because you have extendo arms and three-pointers, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of wings that can do that, right? The 3-and-D guys are plentiful. Now, granted, what you were saying is Mikal Bridges is not an elite wing. He's an elite 3-and-D wing, I would say, right? There's very few people that defend. There's very few people that defend on Mikal's level. He's a pretty good knockdown shooter. So I think, in my opinion, I make that trade. Number one, because Cam has proven that he can't stay healthy. He's on expiring anyway, right? I mean, you have the 5th-year option, but there's always shenanigans that go on with that. Jay's out. Dario's out. Dario's not even playing. And so it really does just come down to how much do you value Mikal? And this team, you and I've talked about it all season, what they're missing is somebody that they can create off the dribble by themselves. Because the only player they have that can do that is Devin Booker. So if Devin's getting doubled, who's your other guy that can create for themselves? Chris Paul can't do it at this point. We've seen that. DeAndre Ayton can some nights, like tonight he's having a nice game, but you know, he's a 20-10 guy. But it's because pick and rolls and, you know, little baby hooks, whatever. There is nobody on the Suns that can just attack like Siakam can. And that is what he does well. And he's a pretty decent defender in his own right.
He is. I mean, I don't hate it. I mean, I'll just say that I don't hate it. The only thing I'll say optimistic and somewhat in defense of Mikal is that at least he, you know, got up 22 shots the other night. Like, he's finally starting to just get him up. I'm like, dude, you just got to shoot. So, but having said that, I think Siakam's ceiling is higher. I will hold out 5% hope for Mikal here, 10%, something along those lines.
Mikal is also the same guy that a game this year was like 1 for 23 at one point. So
I think that's the same game I'm commending him for. I was just glad he was shooting. Like, I didn't even care. Like, he wasn't making them, but I was just like, dude, you know what I mean? Just chuck, baby. Like, just get that stuff out of your system.
Yeah. And, you know, tonight's game is a perfect example, right? Booker's out because Booker's, you know, he gets nicked up every now and again because he's so heavily relied on. They were up by 12 tonight at one point, and they just lost the game. And why is that? Because in crunch time, without Booker, there's nobody on that team that can create their own offense and take over. So, I don't know. I'm with you. I love Mikal Bridges. I love him. I love the fact that he hustles. He's incessantly hustling, right? And he can guard anybody. But what hurts us is the fact that he cannot create for himself. And when he does try to, he has nights like that I just mentioned. He'll go 1 for 23. Right, because it's not that hard to defend against Mikal Bridges. Now, granted, maybe he goes to Toronto and blows up. Who knows? They develop guys really well. We've seen it. But this team's window, you and I've talked about it numerous times, is either past or this is the last season. And if you're thinking, well, hey, Chris Paul's probably out next year, who's your third guy? It's not Mikal Bridges. It's not. You know, Mikal Bridges on a championship team.
I guess what my struggle here with this part of it is with, like, part of it with Mikal. So my attachment to Mikal is as much his contract, frankly, as it is any sort of emotion. Like, he is on a really good contract. Like, they did, like, that was actually the best signing maybe James Jones has made, you know, outside of bringing in Chris Paul to elevate the franchise. But like, re-signing Mikal at like whatever that 22, 23 clip a year, like, that is a really, really, really nice contract. It ain't the Mikal Pascal 25, 7 and 7. It's just not, and it's not at this point. And like you said, what does it develop there? I don't know. I don't have 100% optimism in it. Sounds like you have probably somewhere in the same range where maybe, but that's like the only thing is like, that's why I like, when I say I like that core, it's like, I like that contract. Like, I really value that deal. And so I would just love to be able to move all of the other pieces. And I know that's, you know, easier said than done, but that's kind of like where my hesitation just comes from, is like how good that deal is. And if you make this one more deal, like, is Pascal Siakam the guy that you're sure is that one deal that, you know, actually drastically alters that window? And with Siakam, like, though I do really like him, I'm not so sure either. Like, why aren't the Raptors better? Like, I'm confused about that. He's having his best year statistically. Why do they suck because of that?
True.
Or in connection. And maybe they're not directly connected, but I mean, that's without watching the Raptors a lot, like, that's kind of the question I have.
Now, I wonder, with Ishbia in now, maybe he puts his money where his mouth is. Can you even get the deal done without including Mikal? right? Because this team is already in the luxury tax. We've seen that. So I'm going to run it right now while we're talking. Jay Crowder, maybe you throw in Landry Shamet because he's a bum.
Every time. You throw in Shamet every time you can, buddy. No one ever is going to want him. No one's ever going to care. But yeah.
Sarge, Cam Johnson, you have to include because he's a young talent.
Yeah, Cam, right? That's fine. I'm so easily trading Cam. It's not even funny.
Yeah. I mean, I am too because he's perpetually hurt. Like you can, if that was available on DraftKings, does Cam Johnson get hurt this year? I'm betting that all day, right?
Yeah, I'll bet 100 to make $2. I just know I'm going to get my $2 by week 3.
Yeah, the trade machine doesn't work very well on mobile. I'm not going to lie to you. The trade is successful though. If you do Jay Crowder, Landry Shamet, Dario Saric, and Cam Johnson, and you get Pascal Siakam back, the trade works, and you get to keep McHale. Yeah.
I would trade every other piece on this roster. To me, is tradable. And honestly, there's a part of me. I mean, I do think the McHale deal is a little sweeter than the Ayton deal. So honestly, like Ayton becomes more tradable to me in some ways. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is that's out there. But I do like. Right. If you can trade a bunch of expirings and sweeten it with some first round picks or whatever, build it around some of those guys that plainly aren't on your those guys aren't really on our roster right now. Anyways, they certainly wouldn't be playoff guys. Crowder's been sitting out. Cam's been hurt. Shamrit only basically plays when Booker's out. And so all of those pieces, I wouldn't bat an eye at. So it's just really about, if Toronto's willing to move on or one of these teams with one of these types of players is willing to move on and kind of tank and free up some cap space ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, that would get Toronto to one of the worst rosters in the league. Absolutely.
It's all you got to do is collect the Suns' bad roster. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe they play Cam at the 4. They play Scotty Barnes at the 3. You still have Van Vliet, which I'm sure they would probably try to move Van Vliet in a separate deal. And at that point, if you can add Victor, who can play the 5, you suddenly have a pretty damn good team next year. I mean, realistically, right? So we'll see, man. I'm all for it. I just think that Toronto's probably going to try to, they're going to want a Mikal Bridges because every team in the league wants Mikal Bridges, right? So I even sound kind of foolhardy even saying, oh, well, is he that good? But I just think this team is one player like that away that can create their own shot. And the 4 is definitely the weakest position on our team. So we'll see. I'm sure our audiences who are not Suns fans are probably like, God, these guys only talk about Arizona sports. But listen, when you have a team like the Suns that have been title contenders 2 years in a row and they're seemingly one player away with a new owner, that's the team to talk about because I don't see a whole lot of other teams really making a move unless it's for Levine. So, and I don't even know who would really try to swing a trade for Levine, to be honest with you.
I don't either. Honestly, if the other guy that I've been eyeing, it has nothing to do with anything. It's just because I've been curious about him since the moment he flirted with Arizona and never came to fruition. Is what can we do to get our hands on Bol? Wembanyama Light, as he's coming into his own a little bit in Orlando. I mean, it's only 12 points a game, but the guy's a human highlight factory. Who doesn't want to watch Bol play some basketball?
We need a competent backup center because Landell's out and Biyombo, even though he blocks every shot known to man, that's all he does. So
every time he does something, I'm so infatuated. He's Manupul's son. He's ridiculous to watch move. He's an absolute freak. He can shoot. Every now and then he'll cross someone over. You're like, what is this experiment? Yeah. This is insane. Just a random Bol dork out session. My bad.
No, it's fine. I've been infatuated with him since he was supposed to come with Sharif O'Neal to Arizona. So it's welcome here. Don't worry.
Yeah. And we covered that last week.
Yeah. Womp womp. Anyway, let's move on to the NFL. We already kind of referenced it a few times here. Wild weekend, man. It started off with, your show notes say the Patriots had the worst game ever. I contend that the Indianapolis Colts are begging for that title because, good Lord, you go up 33-0 at halftime against one of the best teams in the league so far, and you lose. Justin Jefferson went nuts. Who's their other receiver that went nuts? Osborne or whatever. He had an incredible game. Even freaking Thielen got a touchdown out there. His old ass. The Colts, good Lord, man. Matt Ryan just cannot shake the stigma that he loses big time games and chokes all the time. It's quite the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to just retire. Like, I'm not, like just for, I have nothing against Matt Ryan. I could care less. Like, he can continue to lose these games if he wants to, but like nothing is helping his legacy at this point. Like, nothing he is doing with the Colts is improving his life outside of collecting that check, which I'm sure he can make up for embarrassing himself in car commercials, like whatever blowout discounts, write your own jokes, whatever. That poor dude, man. You're right. That game was brutal. That was like the worst game. I'm gonna hold off on the other one because it's just like so funny, and I just like want to break it down bit by bit. But yeah, this game was just absolutely insane. My only regret is I kept looking at it, and like I was pretty busy, so I wasn't like super paying attention to that game, and I kept being like, dude, like the Vikings could just like come back in this game. And I'm not really like a Vikings believer, but like I don't believe in all in these Colts. I'm like, I should just throw a flyer on this live bet. Like, I mean, what does it got to be right now? You know what I mean? And you could have totally hit one of those crazy plus 3,500 type things. So I'm just kind of kicking myself, but that was ridiculous.
If anything, it was exciting to watch, right? Like it was a lot of offense. It was fun. Like also the simple fact that Jeff Saturday is the first coach ever to be named Saturday to lose on a Saturday. I thought that was a fun little fun fact, a little quip.
Nice little nugget.
Yeah, and then to have that game followed up by the most boring game known to man with the Ravens and Browns. My team is a mess, and you try to console me today. I kept sending you just hate after hate tweet, and I was sending out hateful tweets today because the Ravens, their answer to losing a game like that is signing Sammy Watkins for the second time, who's just the most stupid receiver in the league known to mankind. Lamar Jackson's not getting anywhere. The Ravens practice facility was raided, and a bunch of pieces of paper that said fire Greg Roman were left behind. So there's that storyline. It's that game. Good Lord. I went to Yard House to watch it, and wifey was there for about 5 minutes, and then her and my daughter went to go shopping. So I sat in Yard House alone, and I drank like 3 very strong beers. They were like 9.1%. And I got to the point in the second half, I couldn't tell you what happened in the third quarter. I wasn't even drunk. I was just Twitter. I just was watching the comments come through,
Yeah.
just marinating in the hate because good Lord, that team is so piss poor. I'll put it this way. When they had Rashad Bateman, they were averaging like 33 points a game. They looked great at the beginning of the year. They looked incredible. Besides the defense choking, which whatever, it is what it is. I already went on that rant numerous times on this show. Since he went out and since the bye week, they are averaging 13 points a game. 13, John. 13. Yeah. They are the worst offense in the league. It doesn't help that Lamar's out. And, we can talk about what does this mean for his career, that what it seems like 2 years in a row, he gets an injury at the end of the season and can't go on. And he's supposed to get paid. And I believe he should get paid because when he's out there, the team looks at least competent. But good Lord, like, this team is probably going to make the playoffs and just get obliterated, probably by your Chargers in the first round.
I wouldn't count on that, but we still can't put anybody. We can't put anybody away. We're like trucking back into this thing, and I kind of sent you that message, like, and there they were, because we're sitting there at like the 5 and 6 seed right next to each other. As both of us have just complained incessantly about our teams all year, riding like our little mini like bumps of hope. Do you still have Deshaun Jackson on your roster?
We sure do. Yeah, he's our best receiver right now.
Sammy Watkins on your roster. That's incredible.
Yeah, now you know why I'm sending you hate tweets.
Yeah, that is pretty unbelievable, I have to say. And The Chargers have gotten a little bit healthier, but if it makes you feel any better, all the rumors are around that Derwin James now injury could be much worse. So, as things start to
as
the sun starts to shine in LA, now comes the one rainstorm we don't need, and so we'll see with that one. That doesn't seem like anybody has a definitive answer yet, which is probably the scariest part about it.
Yeah, exactly. At least you guys pulled out the win against the Titans. I mean, the Titans are, God, you want to talk about another team that's just completely collapsing. The owner firing their GM in the middle of the season when they're having a winning season simply because they lost to the team that has the guy that they traded in the offseason, and he has a good game. That was wild. But hey, I mean, besides Derwin going down, you guys pretty much have your whole offense, so at least you have that to look forward to, right? I would much rather have a team that can't really finish games. The Chargers, by the way, you're talking bad, but they've won like 3 in a row or something. It feels like they're definitely back on the horse a little bit.
They won a couple in a row. Yeah, they won. I think it's just the 2, but they won a couple in a row or 3 of the last 4. Whatever. I mean, they're playing better. Dude, they're worth watching to watch Herbert make one ridiculous throw a game, and a lot of times it is to win the game. Like, I mean, he can win the game, like in the fourth quarter, and the drive that you need with plays that you need. And that's why I keep saying, if you're not watching Herbert and you're talking about him, like, you just don't know what you're talking about, because the guy is like, he's just fucking ridiculous. I mean, there's no other. He takes the words out all the time, just like, dude, like, no one makes that throw. Like, there's like almost no one that makes the throws he makes.
Yeah, and even last week, dude, he didn't have the best game. He threw 2 picks. The one pick was absolutely insane, but still threw for over 300 yards. Like, you guys are a fun team to watch, and that's in a bad game of a 17-14 win. My team, meanwhile, puts up 3 points against one of the worst defenses in the league. So, we can sit here and complain and whatever.
Lamar's coming back this week, right?
Nobody knows. John Harbaugh was asked today, hey, is Lamar coming back? And he said, I don't want to divulge that information for competitive reasons.
That
basically what that means is
like the Derwin James injury.
What that means is, hi, I'm John Harbaugh. I'm a complete and utter dick to the fans, and I don't want to give them hope. He's probably not playing, but I don't want, the Atlanta Falcons to know that, because we're worried about the Atlanta Falcons. The fact that we're worried about Desmond fucking Ridder and the Falcons, to the fact that we don't want to give Lamar Jackson news out, tells you everything you need to know about this team. They are so unserious. Devin Duvernay's out for the year now, and our best 2 receivers are Deshaun Jackson and Sammy fucking Watkins. Sorry, I'm off my soapbox now.
Yeah, we beat the Falcons by 3.
You're taking the Falcons? That's a smart move.
No, we beat them by 3. I'm just saying, like, that's the kind of team that's kind of explosive team you're dealing with here. We beat everybody by 3. That's pretty much how we've won every single game.
We were up 2 games on the Bengals in the division, and now we're not going to win the division. It's just this is the last one I'm going to make, because if I keep going on this Ravens rant, like, I'm probably going to have a vein pop. Like, it's that bad. But, like, what is this team? The first half of the year, you're blowing leads when you're up by like double digits, and now you can't score at all. And now we're worried about the Atlanta Falcons with Desmond Ridder. I'm done. This team sucks. We're in purgatory because we're gonna get to the playoffs, get our freaking brains blown out, and not have a good pick. And we only have like 5 picks this year. Lamar Jackson doesn't have a contract. Roquan Smith, we're trading 2nd round picks for, and he doesn't have a contract. He's going to demand like $23 million a year. Jesus Christ!
Our only hope is that we play each other, bud. That's really like that's how we get a playoff win between the 2 of us.
I'm going to be
split one.
I'm going to be insufferable if you watch that game with me. By the way. You better have like at least a 30 rack and Miller Lite ready to go, dude. If I watch that game,
insufferable off for sure. Because I'm telling you, like, I'm probably not gonna be pleased. Like, that was a miserable game watching experience against the Titans. We got through it, but I was definitely, I don't think I sent any positive messages during the course of that game.
No. When do the playoffs start? And like
we're through 14. So we have 3 more weeks of regular season, so I guess a full month out.
So we have this week, so Christmas week, the 30th and the 6th. So playoffs probably start.
Yeah, it's like mid-January, 13th-ish.
Probably
12th.
like the 15th, yeah. I might be in the new house by then. You know, maybe we live stream just me being a complete bitch watching the game and you just mumbling under your breath about, you know, the Chargers defense. So
yeah, it'll give me an excuse to wear my Dan Fouts jersey and look sad.
God, you know what's bad too is I'm talking all this shit about the team. The moment we get in the playoffs, I'm gonna root so damn hard. I'm gonna get my heart broken so bad.
Yeah, I know. No,
it's the most toxic relationship in my life.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I know it's gonna happen because like I'll convince myself because this is the problem with having the Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert is that you never not believe because you've seen it enough. You're like, dude, I don't know, man. What if this guy gets hot? This thing could we could get crazy. We could get frisky, knowing full well that like that doesn't make any sense. You know, you watch the team; it makes no sense. But
I'm the same guy that we had the number 1 seed and we were losing to the damn Titans at home. Lamar Jackson had like 500 yards of offense and we had like 14 drops, and I was still saying to myself, "Well, damn it, he could do it. He could."
Yeah, I know.
It's such an abusive relationship. It's so one-sided. I hate this team. Whatever though.
Well, it's worse for Brady. It's worse for the Cardinals. There are worse situations.
Yes.
So, you know,
we're not Cowboys fans.
Take some salt. Cowboys, man, God, they're getting, dude, as soon as they start to feel good too, that's one that as soon as they start to feel good, they just can't have it. Like you can't be too happy there.
Yeah. Chiefs almost lost to the Texans. That was a good game.
That was interesting.
Yeah. So things are definitely happening, but let's finish it off with your game of the week. Because I know you've been chomping at the bit to talk about it.
Yeah,
that Patriots-Raiders game.
You can't do this to the Raiders. You can't lose. Well, first of all, so it starts with, I mean, just to kind of set the scene a little bit, right? I mean, really the Patriots and the Raiders are kind of going back and forth in like a I don't know, not really an impressive game, but like the ball's going back and forth. Both teams are scoring. The Raiders kind of start to come back. You kind of get the feeling that they're going to because Mac Jones is basically left out there alone to kind of just figure this out. It's a really terrible-looking Patriots offense. They just do dumb and stupid things.
Stevenson's good, though.
Yeah, he is good, although he later will become a key figure who starts a problem in this situation. So hold on to that because that guy gets wild.
The story gets interesting. Yeah.
So, you know, Carr throws that touchdown to the corner of the end zone to the guy, I can't even remember his name.
Keelan Cole.
Yeah, because I was like, I knew I was going to forget it because I'm like, I forgot it. I'll remember this. Nope. So Keelan Cole, definitely, there's no way he gets the second foot down, right?
No.
Like, is there any way in any world that he gets that second foot down?
No. That was the NFL just won the game to go on.
Yeah, so the NFL rigged, hashtag NFL rigged. They go ahead and just like go ahead and do that. But I'm like super happy with this because at this point in my day, the way the Chargers move up into the playoffs is I'm like, I need the Raiders to win and the Chargers to win. And I can't think of like a deadlier combination. I mean, there's a couple, but like that's a really scary predicament to be in around, 2:30 in the afternoon and you're home alone or whatever. I was like, oh God, this is no way. So the Raiders are down bad, but they somehow get that call. And then I'm like, all right, well, the Patriots might go down and like, but their offense is pretty inept. All right, it looks like it's to that point where you're like, all right, Patriots are a smart team. They're going to take a knee. We'll go to overtime, and then I'm sure the Raiders will Raider. They'll somehow screw this up. Like they'll get a punt blocked. Derek Carr will throw a tragic interception like he had earlier in the game on a screen pass. Basically, something stupid will happen, and then whatever this play is, they hand the ball off. Everything's going fine. Run down the right side. Your boy Stevenson, who is very talented, suddenly decides to pitch the ball, and I think like the second happens.
Hold on, and it's tied. We're not in overtime.
Yeah, this is the tie game. Yeah, I would assume. I don't know. I've heard like different varying discussion on this and whether it's like more or less embarrassing to admit whether you did or did not know it's tied. I honestly don't even really care. Like because if you didn't know, like that's so stupid, and if you did know, that's so stupid. I don't think there's any honor being won in picking a side on this, but. Your boy Stevenson pitches it to Jacoby Myers, who then, like, I don't know, how long was that pass? 25 yards? Like, 30?
It was a nice little throw for sure, but it was
a little heave, right?
A lot of airtime.
But Chandler Jones, like the good wide receiver he is, gets under it, high points that thing, But then, like, as if this isn't funny enough, the chaos that you're watching, he absolutely destroys and sheds Mac Jones, destroying his soul, throwing him into the ground eternally, burying him in Patriots litany, and then runs into the end zone. And I just cannot believe what I have just seen. Like, I had to watch it like 5 times to be like, this is really happening. Like, this is real, and they're going to count this. And I can't think. I honestly think it's the dumbest ending to a game that I've ever seen. I mean, like, Leon Lett, yes, it was stupid, but like, I used to watch guys mess that up. That was a big moment and it happened and whatever. Like, some other things are unfortunate. The butt fumble's stupid. The Tony Romo drop snap sucks. Like, there's a lot of things, but this is the dumbest, I think, thing that I've ever seen. And it's so funny with Chandler Jones destroying Mac Jones's soul on top of it. So I don't know. I mean, I just challenge anyone to really show me something that's equally hilarious and dumber.
Yeah, and you called it the worst loss, but I think we've done a good job differentiating, right? It wasn't the worst loss of the weekend. It was certainly the dumbest. It was it was like,
so
I think everybody
funny.
was just like, what the hell just happened? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, and I'm trying to explain to Chelsea. I'm like, I need the Raiders to like, but I think they just did it, but like, I have to see that again because there's no way. Why would they do that?
I can't believe you're even rooting for the Raiders in any capacity. So
I needed
absolutely
it, man.
insane, dude. Insane.
It.
Yeah. Well, Patriots oblige, and I think it's even more funny because it's a Bill Belichick coach team, which everybody thinks they don't ever do anything dumb. But you know what? Ever since Tommy left, they've been doing a lot of dumb shit. So this just takes the cake, though. Good Lord, this was probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen on a football field.
And did we ever get a good answer? Like, was it something that was like were they trying to do this? Did they go rogue? Like, they
came out and said that. Yeah, they were like, the play was, there was no option for a pitch. We just did it. And even the dude that did it, what's his name, Bourne or whatever, he took full responsibility. He's like, yeah, like, I was just trying to make a play happen. And dude, you know what? Like, respect for like at least taking the fault for that. But dude, if you're gonna do a pitch, why are we doing it across the field like that? Holy hell, bro! Like, what are we doing? And just go to overtime.
I did hear you say like he didn't see Chandler Jones, like, which is hilarious. He's like, I just didn't read the coverage. I didn't see that safety, and I guess he was seeing ghosts out there, which, understandably, he doesn't probably run that play a lot. But that was God, what a wild. I mean, this was only topped by the Swedish zoo that was taken over by chimpanzees in my heart this week. I mean, if it weren't for the chimpanzees taking over the Swedish zoo, this would have easily been the funniest moment of my week. But it sadly still finishes at second, despite being the funniest thing I saw on the football field.
Well, also the funny thing that happened this weekend, and you put it in the chat, was the Kansas City Chiefs super fan that wears the mascot head.
Yeah.
That wears the mascot head to all the games, and he decided to rob a bank while wearing said mascot head.
That guy finished third.
Yeah. It was an incredible football week.
We should have led the show with it. Now that I'm doing this, I'm like, why didn't we lead the show with this? We should have led with chimpanzees in the Swedish zoo, the Patriots ridiculousness, and then the Chiefs wolf guy. Which, by the way, whoever tweeted a wolf in Chiefs clothing, like, you made my day. Like, you did.
Isn't that the same guy that the guys on PFT or PMT, I should say? Didn't they interview him? Because there's like a real like beef at like between that guy and like another super fan that they like the one dude cheated on the other dude's wife or whatever. I think this is the same guy.
It is very possible. I don't know, but I mean, I guess that will make for a very dramatic PMT that we'll be competing with tomorrow morning, probably, if that's the case.
The number two sports podcast in the world.
After you listen to ours, if they can sort that out for us, we will have follow-up.
Yeah, we exactly will, dude. Oh my God. And can you envision any other place besides Kansas City, Missouri having this exact thing happen? Because I can't.
No.
My brother lives in Arkansas. This sounds exactly like what goes down there.
Yeah, I think it's like people don't understand. It's like Missouri, you know, it's like right in. It's just in that weird. I think people think it's somewhere different, like, and not in the weirdest place that it is. And I'll say too. I mean, I saw a Chiefs guy, like probably like 65-year-old man, 70-year-old man, you know, wearing his Chiefs Zubaz hat, had like some sort of Zubaz golf pants, you know, like that look. And I'm just like, what a weird, like, the place picked that as their like go-to style. That's a weird place.
Yeah, dude, Kansas City, well, just Missouri is it's like combining all the worst parts of the South and all the worst parts of the Midwest into one place. That's
Correct.
what you get in Missouri.
They all meet on a river.
Yeah. And everybody's high on meth and everybody loves barbecue. And apparently robbing banks and mascot heads. So that's what you get with Missouri.
That is a wild story. There's video of that guy running the 40 in that suit.
Yeah, he was a well-known guy. So, dude, you didn't have anything else to wear? Like, really? God, what a football weekend. You know, what a football weekend. But with that, hey, it's been an incredible show. We kept this one about an hour. We have, obviously, the Christmas Eve and Christmas Day games going on this weekend. No more World Cup to follow, but there's a lot of other stuff. NBA will be chugging along. New Year's 6 bowl games coming up here pretty shortly. I'm sure we'll be previewing those next time we meet. So that'll be fun. Transfer portal has been going nuts. USC apparently has a huge love affair with the University of Arizona. So we'll be covering that as well. But with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas. Stay safe. Enjoy your family. Sit down on the couch and watch some sports. John, do you have any parting words?
No, just Merry Christmas, everybody. Enjoy it. Stay safe. And we'll check in probably one more time before New Year's.
Yep. And remember, please follow, like, subscribe, whatever you want to call it. Share this podcast. Leave a comment. Leave a rating. Follow us on all socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the TikTok, as I referenced it last week. We're everywhere. We love interacting with you, even if you're just an insufferable Georgia fan. I'm here for it. I will interact back with you. I will be respectful, but I will comment back. So please share this podcast, grow it. If you like it, let us know. And with that, Merry Christmas, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.